go back to the ska and we're gonna give you this big one called The Guns. The Guns. The Guns of Navarro.
Original member of the Skatalites, and I'm a vocalist.
Hi, I'm Ken Stewart. I've been with the band for 28 years and I play keyboards.
And I'm Sam Aldu, saxophonist with the Skatalites. Great to be here.
In your case, what does it feel to represent the original band members? So in your case, the original sax player, the keyboards, the voice, the vocals.
Yeah, these were legendary musicians, Tommy McCook and Roland Alfonso. So it's an honor to have been asked to join the band, and it's a pleasure to keep this music going and play all over the world. In Mexico, the fans in Mexico are awesome fans in Mexico. So it's great to be here and just keep that legacy going. And not just the original members, but those that came after them too. It's like the great Cedric Brooks. He was the tenor player just before I joined the band, and such a legendary pioneering musician that it's just an honor to be filling in this role in this organization, in this crew. It's a pleasure.
Like a dream, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was unexpected, and it's a great journey to be on.
For you, sir?
Well, I had the pleasure of playing with most of the originals, including Jackie Matu. My first tour with the Skatalites, we played side by side. So it was a great honor. All the people, Roland Alfonso, Dizzy Johnny Moore, Lloyd Knibb, Lloyd Brevin, Tommy McCook. I met John Jerry. I never played with him, but I knew him. Everybody except Don Drummond I met, and all the people that, like Zem said, all the people that have passed through. It's like a big, huge family because we're still friends. People that came, I took some vacations from the band and people came before and after me. It's a constant evolution of the personnel and the Skatalites,
Yeah, I would say in the beginning there were 4 vocalists, and that's Tanamo, Tony De Costa, Jackie Opel, and myself. Well, I'm here still holding the vocals of the band, and I'm very happy to be around these guys.
So, for many people, you are considered to be the founders of the ska movement. What does it feel to travel around the world representing the ska?
Yeah, it's good, and it's also good to see the different ska bands that play this music, that play ska, play rocksteady, play reggae music in different parts of the world. Mexico has great ska bands, great ska musicians, as do different places we go in Europe, in Japan. There's good friends of ours, the Ska Flames, in Japan. It's great to see everyone add their own influence to ska music. And as one of the younger musicians, it's just great to see how it evolved, just to see the history and how it's moved, and almost have like a bird's eye view of just how the music has just developed over the years.
I would say for me it's very rewarding all over the world when you see young musicians involved in the ska. It's something I know, and I hope that it lives on, it will live on as a household name, the ska.
So where does this all movement, all the band, all the group begin? How and where does it begin? The band.
Well,
Started at Bournemouth.
there was a meeting held because these guys were playing on records. All right, it began in the studio. Everybody met. People knew each other from childhood. People knew each other as they were coming up as musicians developing in Jamaica. And then the recording thing started in the 50s. So everybody wanted to get their piece, you know, they wanted to get involved. So at the same time the music was developing, Jamaica was about to become independent from the UK. So there was that desire to have a music called Jamaican. They had mento, but that was really just an adaptation of calypso. It wasn't particularly indigenous completely. So they created this music mostly on purpose for that reason. But they had many influences going on. They had just, you know, Jamaicans didn't even get radio until the late 40s. People in their houses had it in the early 50s. So they were listening to stuff like early guys like Roscoe Gordon, Sun Records coming from Memphis, New Orleans, Miami, Cuba, all this music that they were getting this influence from, and they start to combine it all. And that's what really created ska. You know, it wasn't specifically one guy or even one particular band, but a group of people that were working in these studios. But the Skatalites started specifically to identify themselves as the people who played on all these records that had come over the past, say, 10 years, and nobody knows who's playing the music. So they said, we want to form a live band so that people can see who we are and associate us with this music that we created. It wasn't specifically the producers, or it was the musicians. Yeah, they were assisted and they were cajoled and encouraged, and you know, it was a mutual process. But the musicians didn't get the monetary nor the proper, you know, written credit on the actual. Some of the LPs, especially when it was sound system days, they didn't even put the label on the music because the other DJ, they didn't want the other DJ to steal that tune because that was their big tune. So they scratch out the label, or they asked the producer to make a white label.
Lots of the musicians were not recognized.
So, based on all that, how do you came with the name of Skatalites?
That's a great question.
That's undecided.
Well,
Everybody have their own
stories
version.
of how the name
Everybody have
came
their
out.
version.
Yeah.
there are some previous interviews that say that, you know, they talked, especially because it was the space age and there were satellites going up into the sky, and bands were calling themselves the Jets and the Comets and things like this. So someone suggested satellites, but supposedly it was Tommy who said, no, we're playing ska,
Yeah.
so let's call it the Skatalites.
How they recruit you? How do you learn about the band, and how do you join that?
I met them in the studio because I was recording with them. I went for an audition, and that was where I met. I was introduced by Sir Coxon. I was introduced to Lloyd Libby. Lloyd was the one who brought me into the meeting, not the meeting that they had at this club before, but Lloyd was the one, while back in me, he told me about the band they intend to form, and he would love to have me. It was a problem for me because I didn't know how to go home and tell my mother. She didn't want to hear it. So I just took a chance and I went. And that's where it started from, at the Bournemouth Club.
For you, how do you join that?
I met the band kind of by accident. I saw the bands. They had most of them had moved up to the United States. So they started performing shows in the mid-'80s, and they played in Boston, and I went to the show. And then about 6 months later, I fell in love with the band. I mean, it was like instant love. I didn't really know what real ska was. We had two-tone, the English beat, the specials. This kind of ska was but I didn't know what real ska was until I actually saw the band. And it was amazing to me, you know. So I come from a little bit of a jazz background. My dad plays jazz. I grew up with that stuff. So to hear the Skatalites was just incredible. So 6 months later, I'm playing in this little reggae band in Rhode Island, which is the smallest state in the United States. And all of a sudden, Lloyd Knibb is our drummer. And Lloyd Knibb is moving into the band leader's house, and he's gonna live, you know, and I'm in constant contact with Lloyd Knibb now. And I find out that Jackie Matu is living in Toronto. The Skatalites are doing, you know, scattered engagements, but nothing real touring-wise. And that's why Lloyd joined a local reggae band, because he wanted to make money. So all of a sudden I'm playing with Lloyd Knibb, and all of a sudden I'm auditioning to be in the Skatalites.
And for me, I met the band when I moved to New York, actually. I was playing in London with a band called Jazz Jamaica, and we would tour with Ernest Ranglin and Myrna Hague, Sonny Bradshaw, all these like legendary Jamaican musicians. And when I moved to New York, I met Andre, the trombonist. I met Cedric Brooks, the tenor sax player. I met Kevin Batchelor, and we were just talking and hanging out. And then a few weeks later, I just got a call. Do you want to join the band? Yeah. It was interesting. Exactly. It was interesting. Yeah. And it's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, by traveling around the world, making performance and all of that, you may have endless experience to share. Can you share some of that?
Everywhere I can say it's beautiful. The people are great, and you're accepted, and you become family right away. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful experience. I've never been anywhere, I'm happy to say, and like we were turned away. No. Everybody always wants to hear the band, and you are accepted. And that is very important to us. You know, all across the world, we are accepted. We try to do our best.
From your childhood, did you imagine you were here now, or in the band like this today? Did you imagine something?
You know, for me, I don't make plans because I don't know what the future holds. When saying so, I mean, I'm not stuck on, I'm flexible that if things should change, I'm changed. I'm ready to change it. You have to be flexible, you know, because you never know what's going to happen. You make your plan, but there's a higher power that you never know. So you have to be flexible.
Can you share something about your new album?
Yeah, it's got 2 tracks featuring Lloyd Knibb, some of the last studio recordings that he did. And yes, it's a pleasure to have those on the album. We recorded it in New York, it was mixed in Africa, in Mali, and what's special about this record is it's like a double album. We've got all the ska versions on one side, and on the other side, it's all dub versions of these tracks. So it's something that...
Interesting.
Yeah, it's something that the band has never done before.
Curiosity.
Yeah.
Curiosity. Everybody should have a copy.
I suggest you check it out. It's a good one. Good one.
Really good.
Yeah.
Something you may share with the folks.
Hope to see you at the show tomorrow. Thanks, Mexico. Yes.
Be there. We hope to see you.
Yeah.
And we'll have a good time. We all will.
Something you want to share?
Saludos a todo el mundo. Hasta mañana la noche.